Hi everybody, I'm Spike Brave, and in this video I'd like to give you a look at the HPG Manifold map in Mechwarrior Online. If you're curious, HPG stands for Hyperpulse Generator. It's how they achieve faster than light communication in the Battletech universe. Alright, first of all, I want to start about talking about how you can communicate with your teammates on this map and some of the place names that are used. There's only really one, but let's start about talking about the battle grid. In the bottom center of my screen there, you'll see a grid. I'm in C5, facing out towards D4. That yellow triangle is me, and that dotted line with an arrow on it tells me where my legs are pointed, and as I twist my torso, you can see that arc is where I'm kind of looking and what I can see there. So as you see mechs, they'll show up as either blue if they're friendly or red if they're enemies. So if I hit B, that brings up the battle grid and that shows the whole map. So if you want to see what everybody's seeing if they're all over the map, you can look here. It's a great way to get some reconnaissance if you're playing a game of Conquest and you're light and you want to see where everybody's fighting at. You can come here and see what your friendly teammates are seeing and any enemies that they're detecting. So as I go through the map and I see a couple enemies, I'll show you a little bit more about that. So let's hit B, and first of all, let's start about talking about where we're at. Right down in here, if you're playing on a conquest map, there'll be a capture point right here, so that's important. And then we'll run along the outside of the wall here. You won't see a lot of action in this area unless you are playing conquest. Every once in a while somebody will run back here, but generally not a lot of fighting over this area. And what we'll do is we'll come around towards the other conquest, or I shouldn't say other, another conquest point and a base if you're playing assault mode. So let's run along the wall here for just a little bit longer, and we'll get there. Alrighty, and now as I said, I saw that mech, and he showed up. Now I can't see him. So there you go. You have to have a clear line of sight, so if I get something between us, he'll disappear. There we go. And there are a couple modules like target retention, target retention and advanced target decay that will allow you to see them just a little bit longer. And if you have radar deprivation, you'll disappear faster if someone has locked onto you. So as you can tell there, I can see him. He shows up on the mini map. If I hit B, see him on the mini map. And as I said, if you want to communicate to your teammates, I could yell that he's in the corner of C7, and they would know he's there. So right here is a capture point if you're playing Conquest, and Assault or a base if you're playing Assault. And throughout the area, and sometimes up on the, well, not sometimes, definitely up on the walls, there'll be turrets. So keep an eye out for that. So there's a base. You'll see this occasionally if you're on playing an assault match and somebody's run back here, or you've run back here to use the turrets for some extra firepower. Now occasionally what some people will do is they'll run up here along this hill right here and get on top of this wall, and you can traverse the entire wall up top. It doesn't really look like much anything. I'll see if I can get up there without jump jets for you. So all the top of the wall pretty much looks like this. And I better get back to bounds here. Alrighty, so the wall pretty much looks like this. There's not a lot of really good cover. You can kind of hide behind this stuff. It's easy to fall off. It's easy to go out of bounds. Some players do like to get up here with an ECM mech or even a jump capable mech and try to snipe into the main area here inside the generator station. I don't necessarily think that's a great tactic. It's really hard to get any kind of sustained damage on anything because the second they figure out they're getting shot from the walls, they'll go hide. And then the other thing that's important is if you want to be a sniper, silhouettes are bad. As you can see, my shadow right there, I'm pointing to it with my reticule. You're easy to see up here, so even if you have ECM, you're pretty easy to pick out. So, but be aware that some players do like to do that, and that's something that can happen. So let's run back down now, and we'll go in to the main station. And there, as I said, there's nothing real exciting going on here as far as place names or even about the features. It's pretty much just a metal station, and there's some good cover. If you want to run in here, you can use this wall for cover. That's pretty good. Really no place names. They usually use grid coordinates in solo matches when they're talking about it, so nothing to worry about there. But what you do see is they're in the center. and that means they've taken the main generator station, and they're standing on top of this area. You can get underneath the radar here, or the hyperpulse generator. That's the actual dish for it. You can get under here. You got some good cover from LRMs and stuff. You can see out into the entire area from up here pretty good. It is advantageous to seize the high ground. It doesn't necessarily mean you'll win the match, but you can see out here pretty well. And if you come back, if I'm like say fighting this Atlas, he's gonna have a hard time hitting me from here, and I can still kind of poke out at him. So you'll see that they're under the dish. They're in the center. And then the other thing is the basement, and there are several spots, well there's 4, that you can get into underneath the station. So we'll run along here, and we'll go under here, and that's important in Conquest, because right in the center of the basement here is another capture point. So you'll hear that, they're in the basement. This is a good place to come if the other team is LRM heavy, and there's the actual generator. There'll be a Conquest point here if you're playing Conquest. But you'll hear that, or see that they're typing in there in the basement. That means they've got under here. It does provide great cover for LRMs if you have short range weapons or are not a maneuverable mech like a Dire Wolf and you get in here. It is real tough to get you out because you can put a lot of firepower out, and you're protected from LRMs pretty well. Of course, someone gets under here with you and they have, say, clan LRMs, they can still hit you, but at shorter ranges, those don't do terrible amounts of damage. So that's a strategy to be aware of, and something else to be aware of. If they've said they're in the basement, they're down here. So we'll run out this side of the basement, and we'll take a look at the other part of the outside of the station. Here's the other half again, just a wall. That's pretty much how they all are. It's a wall coming in. There's another one. And if you're curious as to where I started, we'll run over just a little bit. On the other side of that Atlas will be another wall. There's that other wall, and that's where I started out, was deep into that area. So we'll come out over here, and we'll take a look at the rest of the Conquest points and the other base. So right behind this ridge here is a little crater, and that contains a capture point if you're playing Conquest. So down in here, there is a capture point right here. And if people are trying to alert you to where people are, they'll generally say they're at this capture point. I believe it's Epsilon, so you'll see Epsi in the chat. They're at Epsi. So we'll run along the outside of the wall here and get to the other Conquest point and base. Now, as I said earlier, there'll be tourists throughout the area, and look up at the walls. There'll be turrets up at the walls. So once we get down in here, inside this crater, right about here will be that other Conquest point or a base. And as I said, you won't see it very often, but some people do fall out to base to get a little bit of extra firepower. So I'm going to run out the other way to that other wall. And the starting ports are generally in these outside areas. There aren't any that are inside, so you'll start out somewhere in the sand here and then have to run into the main station. But so there's the basic Conquest point, and then here's another way in. So those are your 4 doors. They each have a wall. If you're paying real close attention, and no one uses it for actual navigation, but you can see they've colored things. So this is red. We'll come over here to green. And if I get all the way over there, you'll see that not sure what that is. We'll take a look at it though, so I can point it to you. I'm not quite sure what it's supposed to be, but that circular structure with like a lighted star inside of it. I'm not sure what it is. But if we come up here, there's another one, and it's green, and you can see that we got green along the walls, and then blue, and it continues on with different colors, 4 different colors throughout the map here. It's obviously for navigational purposes, but I have never seen a match in which somebody says they're in the blue quadrant or something. So just be aware that those colors are there to help you navigate if you're turned around a little bit. And if you come down in here, you can actually see there's the red, and there's the blue. Right here, we're going to have that green. So if you're fighting in here, it's really easy to get disoriented, especially if you're in a light mech and you're running around and you're fighting, you're paying attention to not taking fire, and you're not sure which door's which anymore. you can use these color-coded columns here to let you know where you're going to come out. So that's really all there is to this map. As I said, not a lot of place names unless they're going to be on top, in center, or in the basement. But that's really all there is to this map. Generally what happens in a solo match is everybody tries to take the tower. If it's Conquest, people try to take Theta. If it's Skirmish, they try to use this for cover. And if it's Assault, they try to use this for cover. You don't see a lot of base capping in Assault matches. So that's pretty much how this is used in solo play. Everybody gets inside the station proper here and fights it out. Something to be aware of, and I do see players lose matches because of this, is they're very fixated on taking the center here during a conquest match, and they'll all get bottled up in the basement, and you can't get them out because it's very difficult to go push and get in there without getting tore up pretty good if that's what the other teams decide they want to do, is defend this area. It can be pretty brutal fighting under there. But if you're playing conquest, the other team has the option to go capture all the other 4 points, and you'll lose on points. So keep that in mind, that just camping this in Conquest can lead to a loss pretty easily because you are cut off from all the other points because they're outside the walls. Well, this has been a look at this match. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope this touched a little bit. If you enjoy what you're seeing, please subscribe to my channel. If you have questions or comments, please leave me a note in the comments below. Have great luck on the battlefield, and I hope to see you there. Thanks a lot.